All right, great. Well, welcome everybody to our Billion Dollar Mind. Tonight we're going to have some exciting things for you. It is human nature to want to be successful, but there are things we need to consider when looking for a way to have more of the things money can buy. Number one, is the business model you're considering sustainable? Does it pay out more than is taken in? Is it legal? Do you have the support that you need to be successful? What sort of people will join with you? Do you have the conviction it will take to continue when somebody tells you that you are crazy? What you're doing is illegal. People are going to call it a pyramid or multi-level or a Ponzi scheme, even though none of these things are true. It's not a pyramid or multi-level because when a donation is made, only one person gets paid. It's not a Ponzi because only 80% of what comes in is paid out, and it can be withdrawn immediately, so there are no big piles of money laying around to tempt someone into running away with it. Number two, how badly do you want to transform your life and have all of the good things money can buy, including the ability to be charitable? You've had the tools to make this happen since you were old enough to get a job, but you just didn't have the keys that were needed to start the engine. Billion Dollar Mind is going to give you the keys and show you how to use them, but nothing will happen if you don't use them. If you will take just 15 minutes 3 times a day to start your engines, you will soon see your life begin to transform right before your eyes. Now, you do deserve a pat on the back because you haven't given up. You've always believed that there is one right opportunity that can make your dreams come true. And that is no doubt why you came to check out Billion Dollar Mind. What I can tell you is we have some very unique propositions that I'm quite sure will make a lot of sense to you. One of them, we're going to help you accumulate a cryptocurrency that is currently selling for less than 2 cents. And there are people who know a lot more about this than I do, and some of them are saying that this particular token could one day be worth $40,000. Now, just to give you a little backstory, I was introduced to Bitcoin when it was only 5 cents. $1,000 then would have given me 20,000 coins, and at recent prices of Bitcoin, I could have cashed out for $1.3 billion.
Mm.
I'm not making any promises or projections, but let's do the math. $1,000 today would buy you 62,500 Flare tokens. And Professor's going to tell you a little bit more about that. But if that were to one day reach $40,000, that would be worth $2,500,000,000. Now, nobody became a billionaire without first creating a billion-dollar mind. So stick around. We'll be expanding your thinking, whether you're just looking to supplement your income or you want to transform your life entirely. You have found the right group to help you make that happen. Now, get this. Nobody is prohibited from joining because a one-time $10 donation can get you in the door and take you to the top rung in the ladder if you have the desire and the stick-to-itiveness that's needed to make it happen. It doesn't matter if you have no friends left. You will meet new and better friends as you practice the 4 principles that we teach, which can open the door to all of your desires being realized. You don't need to have any previous experience or knowledge. Faith is not dependent upon knowledge or experience. Finally, tonight we are changing our format from what we've done in the past couple of weeks. Realizing that not everybody will come in through the same door, we're going to devote one day each week entirely upon our donation plan. Now, the professor is going to do a deep dive and cover pretty much every question you could ask regarding how donations are paid and received. I have no doubt you'll be delighted to see how easily a person can join with us and start making some donations and then have the opportunity to receive infinitely more than they donated. We don't want anybody to take food away from their families in order to donate. So be wise in your giving. As you share this seminar with others, you will eventually have plenty of money to not only donate to Billion Dollar Mind, but to also help countless other people who need your help. So buckle up your seatbelts because you've never seen anything quite like this. You might not be able to sleep tonight after hearing what the professor is going to share with us. So, Professor, take it away.
You so much, John. I appreciate you, man. John, I missed you on Tuesday, man. Gotta tell you that. Yeah, yeah, we're partners, man. We're my running partner. Oh, John. All right, let's go to work. We want to be very mindful of your time. I want to acknowledge as many of you, Albert and Andrew, as we go through. So you heard John say he was introduced to Bitcoin when Bitcoin was going for 5 cents. All right, and if he'd just taken $1,000 and got it for 5 cents. That would have been 20,000 Bitcoin. The other day, Bitcoin, actually, we've seen it hit 72,000. When I pulled this, it was at 66,000. So this is what John was talking about, the potential that if he had just bought that and taken advantage of that, that could have been 1.3 billion. My story, my Bitcoin story is I found out about Bitcoin in 2014, August of 2014, 10 years ago. Actually, I found out about it in 13, made my first purchase of Bitcoin in August of 2014, 10 years ago. $515. It went down. 515, 400, 300, 166 bucks. I was promoting an offer that paid us in Bitcoin. I started listening to all the folks who were saying Bitcoin's a scam and a sham, Bitcoin's a Ponzi. And then the company I was promoting for, they said that's a Ponzi. And I listened to all that stuff. And so I stopped promoting it. Meanwhile, a buddy of mine who continued promoting it, I referred him 4 years later, reaches out to me in 2018 and says, Prof, I want to thank you. Thank you for what? I said. He said, because of you, I'm a multi-millionaire. Like, how did that happen? What did you do? And what did I do? And he said, remember that project you introduced me to that I kept trying to tell you, man, go for it, go for it, go for it. Yeah. Well, he became a multi-millionaire. Um, I did it because although I was getting paid in Bitcoin, because I didn't really go for it, I had to convert almost all that Bitcoin into usable, spendable cash to take care of the household. He did not. He made enough because he was building the business that he converted some, but he was able to amass some other. So with Flare, as you heard John talking about, that is the asset. 2 cents, been going for 2 cents. Some say it's going to go to 40,000. We don't need it to go to 40,000. Our vision is to get you to where you amass outside of what you convert, Angela, into usable, spendable cash. Gina, we want you to have 5 to 10 million flare in time. If it goes to a buck, 5 to 10 million flare, George, it's $5 to 10 million in value. If it goes to $4, now you're talking about generational wealth. All right, so let's go to work here. Let's talk about our donation plan highlights. Now, a donation plan does not need to have products or services. It's a donation plan. Okay. However, we do have a value proposition for you, and that is sharing the principles and the pillars of faith that will then help us in transformation, transforming how we think. Because how we think, as a man thinks, as a woman thinks in his or her heart, so are we. So those four principles, those four pillars. Number one, gratitude, great attitude. Number two is vision. Number three is surrounding ourselves with the feeling of what it would feel like once we hit those targets, hit those goals, attain the vision. And then number four, affirmations. You'll hear a lot more about that this coming Sunday. No monthly subscriptions with the donation plan, so nobody's got to go and get another, nobody has another bill. We got low medium, and high ticket donation packages and payouts. So nobody needs to break the bank. Okay. At the same time as you are progressing through, those large donation payouts are going to be huge for you. There's an 80% payout to one person. Now, why is that important? In our industry, in the make money from home, make money online niche, typically companies that have products and services, because they've got to pay for those products and services, can only pay out about 35 to maybe 50%. Then, if it's in a multi-tiered, multi-level structure, all right, we don't have a multi-level structure. Okay, you'll understand that in a few moments. They've got to then divvy the smaller payout amongst 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people. Not here. 80% payout, donation comes in, 80% immediately goes out to one person. You're going to love this. Going to spend a little time on this tonight. No loss payouts, no loss referrals. You're going to love that too. Unlimited width and unlimited depth. We'll cover all of that on tonight. Single payouts can be as low as $8 because we've got a donation plan that's just 10. 80% of that is $8. We've got a donation plan that's 20,000, so it pays out 16 grand. And the cumulative payout, you could refer one person, and that one person, as they go through the structure, could maybe, perhaps, all my disclaimers, that could be 49 grand to you just with one person there. Payout. Now we are in soft launch. What does that mean? Getting ready to get ready is what soft launch means. So we're up and running. We should have the withdrawal button turned on very, very soon, which means that when you get a donation, you don't have to wait to the end of the week or to the end of the month or to the 15th of next month. Just as soon as you get a donation payout to you, you go into the system and you can withdraw that right to your own crypto wallet, which is basically your crypto bank. Okay. All right. So let's cover the donations themselves. All right. They go from as low as 10. All right. And then you've got the 50 and the 100 and the 250, 500. These are all separate donation plans. Okay. They all pay out 80%. So when someone does a 2,500 donation plan, that's going to immediately pay out 2,000. Okay. Now I want to spend a little time right here and share with you no loss referrals. I was chatting with a very good buddy of mine who happens to be in $1 billion Mind. And one of the reasons he was attracted to $1 billion Mind is what we call no loss payouts. The reason being, and I won't mention the name of the other company, he's in another company, all right, that has high ticket. They pay out 62%. We pay out 80. The other plan, if he got started at, let's say, 500, but he brought on someone that did to 20,000, he would lose that payout because he's not qualified. So the first thing I want you to take away from this is that we've got no loss payouts. John said we're not going to do that. Okay. Now, a lot of times people will ask, what's the sweet spot? Okay. Well, depends. If you want to make a few extra hundreds of dollars, that's one thing. If you want to make a few extra thousands of dollars each month, that's another thing. I think this right here, plan 2,500, I believe it's a sweet spot. Now, if you can't afford to do that, don't do that. Do what makes sense to your family. Start as the highest donation amount as you can, because this is a law of the harvest model. This is a sowing reaping model. We reap what we sow, one. We got to sow to reap, two. Number three, when we reap more than what we sow. So if you've got the resources to do 2,500, but you opt to do 10, you just planted a seed that, hey, everybody else should only do 10. Okay. So if you got the resources to do more, get the information, it makes sense to you, you've got the resources, go on and do as much as your resources allow. Just don't hurt your family. All right. So in any event, so let's say that a person comes aboard and they start off with plan 2,500. Great. All right. So they're qualified for plan 2,500. Let's say that they then refer someone who comes and does plan 5,000. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. You did 2,500, Heather. They did plan 5,000. Under most plans, you would lose this $4,000 payout. John said, not going to do that. Let me tell you what happens here, Larry. What happens here is this 4,000 is placed on hold. We also like to call it a bank. All right. You didn't lose it. All right. It goes in your bank. One. Number two, immediately, this 4,000 immediately, automatically, it goes to upgrade you to any plans that you have not yet donated to that you've got the resources for. So what it would do here is it would say, okay, from this $4,000 bank, let's go on and take care of your plan 10 because you came off the street with 2,500. You just went straight there. Great. Okay. Let's take care of plan 50 and 100 and 250 and 500 and 1,000. Let's do the math. 10 and 50 is 60 KJ, and 100 is 160, and another 250 is 410. Lindsey Bond, we're up to 910 with the 500. Now we're up to 1910 with plan 1,000. So the system would automatically upgrade you, all right, to these plans, and it simply would have used your bank, and then whatever's left over, 2,090, would stay in your bank. Okay. Now, why was that important? Because now that you upgraded to these plans here, let's say that you brought on Kent, and Kent started at the 1,000. Well, previously you weren't qualified for that. That would have gone in your bank. But now you're qualified for it. Why? Because the system automatically donated up for you. And so now when Kent did the 1,000, you get 800 withdrawable. So your donation, your payout is either going to be withdrawable, meaning you have donated to that plan. Remember, law of the harvest says we've got to sow to reap. All right. We reap what we sow. We got to sow to reap. But when we reap more than what we sow. So what did John do here? He made it so that whatever a person started off with, that if they have someone connected to them that does a higher plan, that person's not demoralized. They're not walking away being disappointed. So my buddy was saying with his other company that I think they have a 20,000 plan also. But if he came aboard with, 100, brought on somebody with 20,000, he only gets paid based on the 100. All that extra would have left him. So I want you to say it with me. And even though, Leon, you are muted out, I still want to hear you, Lorna. No loss payouts. I want you to get that. Very powerful. Okay, let's go on. All right, so I want you to be thinking as we're going through this, what makes sense for me? I want to start off with the largest donation plan that makes sense. It's not going to hurt my family. All right, but it gets me into this law of the harvest. This gets me planting good seed. All right, now let's talk about the structure. So with the structure, let's say that this is Sue, and everybody tonight, Liz, Sue represents you. All right, Melissa, Michael, Muriel, Nathaniel represents you. Now, let's say that Sue refers a few people. All right, Jorge, Sasha. The beautiful part is that maybe Becky, who came aboard, maybe she was more interested in the income model. And maybe Paul here, who comes aboard, maybe he's really into the personal transformation, the 4 pillars of faith model. Okay, doesn't matter. That's why on Sunday nights, we have a standalone Zoom for Sunday nights for the Pauls of the world, and then maybe Rodney wants it both. Rodney says, "Hey, I don't want either or. I want it all." All right, so Sue refers Jorge, Sasha, Becky, Paul, Rodney, Elizabeth. It doesn't matter the order that she referred them. Okay. Now we're going to come back to them in just a few moments. All right. This is important to know. All right. So when you start building your referral network, you are going to receive payouts when the first, the third, the fifth, and beyond donate to a specific plan. This is your part of the harvest. And this will be very clear in just a few moments. Okay. So the first person that donates to plan 10, you are getting that payout, that 80% payout. The third person that donates to plan 5,000, you're getting that payout. You got the first and the third. The fifth person that donates to plan 20,000, you are getting that payout. Okay. And if there's a sixth, a seventh, 193rd that donates to any of the plans, then you are going to get that payout. That's your harvest. Now, what's your seed? Well, your donation is a seed. That's why, listen, if you've got the resources to do 2,500, don't plant a $10 seed, because now you're likely going to receive a harvest where people that you may refer coming aboard say, just want to, let me just try it out for $10, but they could do 5,000. Okay. All right. So your donation is a seed. The other thing is the second and fourth donation to a specific plan is a seed. Now, what does that mean? All right, so let's go for it. I'm going to put the donation amounts over here. I'm going to put Jorge and Sasha and Becky and Paul and Rodney and Elizabeth back up. Okay. All right. So let's say, give me a moment. Let's say Paul. Paul is the first to do the 2,500. Okay. Paul is the first to do the 2,500. Let's assume that Sue donated 2,500. So Sue donated 2,500. Okay. All right. So that went up. Paul donates 2,500. He's the first to do so. So that $2,000 payout goes where? It goes to Sue. It doesn't matter that Paul was the fourth person that Sue referred. What matters here is what donation position was he? He was the first one to do the 2,500. So in this case, since Sue did 2,500, Paul did 2,500, that means that Sue's qualified. This 2,000 is withdrawable. She can withdraw that. She doesn't have to wait to the end of the week, doesn't have to wait to the end of the month, doesn't have to wait to the 15th of next month. Okay. This is why when people ask me, what's the sweet spot? Well, if you want to make a few extra thousands of dollars a month, I think this is a really good sweet spot. If one person does the same that you did, you got $2,000. Okay. Now, Jorge, he came aboard. He wanted to test everything out. All right. So Jorge, he started off with 10. He's the first person that did 10. Well, who gets that payout? Well, he's the first to do the 10. All right. So that's going to also go to Sue. Now, at this point, Sue didn't do 10. She went straight and did 2,500. Okay. And the 2,000 she got, she could have used that to donate if she wanted to, or she could have withdrawn it. However, Sue decided to do that. In this example, let's say that she withdrew that. All right. She withdrew the 2,000. Okay. So now Jorge does the 10. He's the first to do the 10. So Sue gets that payout of $8. Then once that goes through, Jorge says, oh, okay, everything works the way it's supposed to work. I think I want to do 2,500. So he then does 2,500. Well, guess what? He is the second person in this example to do the 2,500. All right. So what happens here? What happens here is that $2,000 is going to go up. Why? because Jorge was the second. Remember, the first, the third, the fifth, and beyond that donate to any of the plans is going to go to you in this example. The second and fourth will go up. Now, very key. So you saw no loss payouts, very key. Now we have no loss referrals. See, I remember I saw a plan very similar in terms of structure. Big company, they became one of the biggest companies. I mean, they were hot. Okay. The thing is, you gave up the person. So when you brought, I think theirs, it was the first and third went up, and the second and fourth you retained. All right. So when you brought on the first with that company, that person you brought on, forever and ever, amen, anything that they did went up. So you actually lost the referral. You don't lose the referral. Yes, yes, this one plan, Jorge was the second one to donate. So yes, that went up. That was the seed. However, let's say that actually when Jorge did the 10, that was his test, and Jorge didn't quite have 5,000 in my example right now. He had 4,000. So he did the 2,500. He was the second person to do that. So that went up. Then he did the 1,000. And let's say he was the first to do 1,000. Who gets that? Sue. So 2,500 and 1,000 is 3,500. He did 500. And let's say he's the first to do 500. Who gets that? Who gets that payout? Say it with me. Sue. Okay. So in one plan, Jorge may be the first one, or he might be a second in another plan. He might be a third in another plan. He might be a 17th in another plan. Okay. Let's look at Sasha. All right. So Sasha comes aboard. Let's say she's the first to do 100. All right. So that $80 is going to who? It's going to Sue. Sasha then, she did a test also. Sasha then said, you know what? I want to make a few thousands of dollars a month. I've got the resources. I'm going to go and do 2,500. All right. Well, guess what? She's now the third person to do the 2,500. What happens here? Who gets that? Who gets that 2,000? Say it with me. Sue. Why? First, third, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, the fifth and beyond. Okay. So Becky, let's say that Becky also did the 2,500. She's the fourth that did the 2,500. Where does that go? That goes upstream. All right. Second and fourth go upstream. Rodney, he's the fifth. No, let's say he's the sixth. Elizabeth came and she did the 2,500 before Rodney. All right. Where does that go? Fifth person that did 2,500, that goes to Sue. Rodney, sixth person that did the 2,500, that goes to Sue. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So give me just a moment. Okay. Now, let's go to the second part of the law of the harvest, the reaping part and the sowing part. Okay. So hopefully by now you got the first, third, fifth, and beyond at each individual plan goes to you. The second and fourth go of each plan, not the person, the donation goes upstream. Okay. All right. So now, for those who do the first, third, and fifth of that plan, those folks are going to be, you're going to hear us say this a lot, they're going to be connected or they're going to be coded to you. Now, what that means is just like your second and fourth donation went up, their second and fourth donation will go up. That go up to you. Say that again. Your first, your third, your fifth. So in that example, I don't know if I can get back what I drew. Let's see if I can get that back. Can I? Got it back. Okay. All right. So right here, you had Paul was your first that did 2,500. All right. Paul's your first that did 2,500. So in the 2,500 plan, he's connected to you. You may hear us say he's coded to you. Okay. What this means is that when Paul brings on his first, his second, his third, and his fourth, let's say they now do 2,500, whenever it happens, okay? The first person that does so, Paul's going to get that donation, the 2,000 payout. But the second person that does the 2,500 is going to who? It's going to Sue. Just like your second and fourth sewed up, Paul's second and fourth sew up. Third person that does the 2,500 goes to Paul. Fantastic. Now, based on the 2,500, he's in profits. Okay. Fourth person goes to who? Stay with me. Goes to Sue. So anyone that is connected to you in that specific plan, how are they connected? If they are your first, your third, your fifth, and beyond, that donated to that plan. All right. The first one to donate. The third one to donate. The fifth one to donate. 6, 17, 39 in that plan. Okay. Now, doesn't stop there. Doesn't stop there. Because now this person, whoever number two happens to be, their second and fourth, as it relates to the 2,500, their second and fourth go where? Go to Sue. When these two people here, their second and fourth, as it relates to the 2,500 plan, go where? Go to Sue. And what about this fourth person over here that was connected to Sue in the 2,500? Their second and fourth in the 2,500. Their second and fourth in the 2,500. Their second and fourth to an unlimited death. And the same thing happens for every one of the plans, whether it's the 10 or the 50 or the 100 or the 20,000. It works the same way for every plan. You did not lose the referral. You didn't lose Jorge. That donation, maybe one donation, if it was the second or the fourth on one of these plans, yes, that sold up. But because that sold up and we're following the law of harvest, that's what this whole model is based on, that we reap what we sow. We got to sow to reap, but when we reap so much more than what we sow. So now all of a sudden you've got major leverage. Now let me show you. Let me show you how that looks in real life. Okay. All right. So I want us to pay attention to a couple of people here, Peggy. Okay. So, Rodney, I want you to notice, got to get rid of those now. I want you to notice something here. All right. I want you to notice that on plan 10, there was a guy named Michael who was referred, and he was the first person that did plan 10. So in plan 10, Michael is the first person that did that. Yusuf was the second person. So when Yusuf did plan 10, since he was the second person to do plan 10, not that he was the second person referred, the second person to do plan 10 from his referrer, okay, that went up. Okay. Michael went over here. That that payout. Okay. Now I want you to just pay attention right now to Michael and Yusuf. On plan 10, Michael is the number one position. Yusuf is the number two position. But now let's go and let's look at plan 50. That's the next donated amount. Well, will you look at that? Yusuf was in the number two position. in Plan 50. I'm sorry, in Plan 10. But in Plan 50, Yusuf was the first one to donate to Plan 50. So his referrer got that payout. See, the referrer didn't lose Yusuf. In Plan 10, Yusuf was number two. That went up, but it didn't lose Yusuf. In Plan 50, Yusuf was the first one. So that went to the sponsor. Look, here's Mike right here, Michael Vitrano right here. He was the first spot in the 10, second spot in the 50. Let's follow this through. Now with Plan 100, what do we see? We see Gerard was the first spot. There's Yusuf. Yusuf is the second spot. Okay. And then you got the third and the fourth. And let's go a little bit further. And 250, we see Michael. Michael was the second in Plan 250, so that went up. Okay, that was the seat that went up. And let's see, Plan 500. Well, will you look at that? There's Michael. So in a couple plans, Michael was in a second position. That went up. But you saw in a couple plans so far, Michael was in first position. Now I want to do one last thing. I'm about to round third. Okay. I'm going to stay right here. Okay. Now we can make this any plan. Plan 100, plan 5,000, plan 20,000. Okay. Let's say this is how this had worked out. And you had Gerard that did plan 100 first, or plan 5,000 first, or plan 20,000 first. Okay. That means that Gerard's second and fourth person that does plan 100 is going to go to Gerard's sponsor, or the person that Gerard is connected to. Now, Gerard's going to get the first, third, fifth, 17th, 82nd, but the second and fourth are going to go up, those donations. Their second and fourth on plan 100, their second and fourth, and their second and fourth, so on and so forth, are going to go up to the professor here. Okay. Now, what about Yusuf? All right. Well, when his first and third will go to him, first, third, 5, 17th. All right. His second and fourth, they're going to go up. All right. Because Yusuf is coded for this plan, connected to for this plan to someone above the referrer here. All right. However, haven't lost Yusuf the person just for that particular plan. Chances are, as Yusuf progresses, he's either going to be a first or a third or fifth or beyond on other plans. Okay. Same thing here with LK. All right. He's a third on plan 100. So his second and fourth on plan 100. And their second and fourth, 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 so on and so forth. All right. We'll go here. LK will get the first, third, fifth, 79th, 139th, so on and so forth. Now, back to round third. Done that. Okay. So now, why do we want to move? Give me a moment here. Why do we want to move with a sense of urgency? Okay. We want to move with a sense of urgency because of the current price of flare. So everything comes into the system in flare, everything pays out in flare. All right. And then we'll make sure you know how to convert flare into usable spendable cash. Let's say that you've progressed all the way through the plan. We want to get everybody progressing all the way through the plan. You've done the 10, the 50, the 100, all the way to the 20,000. Okay. So now someone does a $20,000 donation to you, whether it's your first, your third, your fifth, your 72nd, or somebody second and fourth that does a 20,000 donation. You get 16 grand, but you get that in flare. Now, the other day, flare, a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, flare was at 2 cents. Market came down a little bit. Flare was down to 1.5 cents. Okay. Now, why do we want to be very aggressive? I can tell you, I'm an entrepreneur. I love this home business space. I have cleared off everything else. This is the only thing that I am promoting. And here's why. See, I missed being a multimillionaire before. I told you that story when I got started. I want to go for it while Flair is still at these lower prices. So let's say you get 16,000, and I'm going to say Flair's going for 2 cents. Okay. All right. So when Flair's going for 2 cents, you get a $16,000 payout. That means you'd have 800,000 Flair. Okay. You got a $16,000 payout and let's say Flair was going for 2 cents. You got 800,000 Flair. What's our vision for you? To have 5 to 10 million. Okay. Let's say we lollygag. We lollygag around, and then, a couple years from now or a year from now, or whatever, Flair's now up to $4. And we say, you know what? They're still here. Now let me go for it. Okay. Let's say you get a $16,000 payout when Flair's going for $4. How much Flair would you have been paid out in? 4,000. 4,000. See, if we go for it now, and in that example, you got paid out 16,000 and you had 800,000 Flair. Yeah, you can convert some, take care of some bills and what have you, but you likely can hold on to some Flair. So the difference between my buddy, who I referred, that became a multi-millionaire, that happened in a 40-year time frame. The difference between he and I is I didn't go for it. So whatever I did get paid in Bitcoin, I converted to usable spendable cash for right now needs. He, on the other hand, went for it. He got paid more in Bitcoin, converted some for usable spendable cash, but was able to accumulate some. What happens if you got 5 million Flair in time and it goes to $1? 5 million in value. I'm telling you, what happened for him happened in 40 years. What happens if you've got 5 million Flair and it doesn't go to 40,000, it goes to 4? Now we can start talking generational wealth. So as we're rounding third, about to finish, going to get your questions ready. You can start putting them in the questions box. We'll have an optional Q&A. Now what do? You're going to get back to the person who referred you. You're going to choose which plan to start off at. You want to start off with the largest plan that makes the most sense for you and your family. Don't hurt your family, but do start off with the largest plan that makes the most sense for you and your family. Remember this: the speed of the leaders, the speed of the group. I remember I had someone, I was promoting another offer. And again, you had options there. And the thing they asked me is, hey, well, what you get started with? I want to start with wherever you got started. Well, if I say, well, I got started with $10. Well, they may start with $10. I started with 2,500. They may do 2,500. Maybe they'll have 2,500. So maybe they do 500 as opposed to 10. All right. And remember, this is the law of the harvest. What donation? Ask yourself this question: what donation would you want your folks to start off with? If they had the resources, you had the resources, would you want them to start off with 10? If they had the resources and you had the resources, probably not. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our Zoom on our compensation plan, our generational wealth model. Our next Zoom is going to be right here on the same bat time, same bat station, meaning the same time, 8 p.m. New York time. It's going to be on Sunday night. We won't be talking about the compensation plan. We'll be talking about the 4 pillars of faith, and really doing a deep dive so that we can begin to apply those 4 pillars